This is Vivienne Neville, and I'm reading from Luke chapter 2, verse 1 to 7. Jesus is born in Bethlehem. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. Everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for them. The Romans ruled the civilized world at this time, and by contrast, Joseph controlled very little. Against his better judgment and political convictions, he complied with the Roman order to take a long trip just to pay his taxes. His fiancée, who had to go with him, was about to give birth. The Romans maintained control by exerting military and economic power, but the Romans did not recognize the limits of their power. In reality, God controls the world in all times and places. He works out his will. As a result of the decree of Emperor Augustus, Jesus was born in the very town prophesied for his birth. Even though his parents did not live there, Joseph and Mary were both descendants of David. The Old Testament is filled with the prophecies that Messiah would be born in David's royal line. Luke is the only gospel writer to relate the events he recorded to world history. His account was addressed to a predominantly Greek-speaking audience who would have been interested in and familiar with the political situation. Palestine was under the rule of the Roman Empire, with Caesar Augustus, the first Roman emperor, in charge. The Roman rulers, considered to be like gods, stood in contrast to the tiny baby in a manger who was truly God in the flesh. A Roman census was taken to aid military conscription or tax collection. The Jews weren't required to serve in the Roman army, but they could not avoid paying taxes. Augustus' decree went out in God's perfect timing and according to God's perfect plan to bring his son into the world. Sometimes we can think, I'm being obedient to God, so why aren't things going better? We face discomfort or inconvenience and immediately think either that we have misread God's will or that God has made a mistake. But watch this quiet couple as they head towards Bethlehem. God did not soften Joseph's bumpy road, but strengthened him. God did not provide a luxurious inn for Joseph and Mary, but brought his son into the world in a humble surrounding. When we do God's will, we're not guaranteed comfortable lives, but we are promised that even our discomfort and inconvenience have meaning in God's plan. He will guide you and provide all you need. Like Joseph, live each day by faith, trusting that God is in charge. The mention of the manger is the basis for the traditional belief that Jesus was born in a stable. Stables were usually caves with stone-feeding troughs carved into the rock walls. So despite popular belief, Christmas card pictures, the surroundings were dingy, dark and dirty. This was not the atmosphere the Jews expected as the birthplace of the Messiah King. They thought their promised Messiah would be born in royal surroundings, but we should not limit God by our expectations. He is at work wherever he is needed. This tiny helpless baby lived an amazing life, died for us, ascended into heaven and will return to earth as King of Kings. Jesus Christ will rule the world and judge all people according to their decisions about him. Do you still picture Jesus as a baby in a manger? Or is he your Lord? Let him grow up in your life. He will return a second time as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.